Morning, my dudes. It is Wednesday today. Temperature's cooled right off. I think we're down to about 13 or 15 degrees today. It's lovely and foggy and the sun's just started to come out, which looks really pretty. Hope you're good, hope you're well. Hope you enjoyed yesterday's video, the updated toolbox tour. I tried to concentrate on staying next to the mic so you could hear me nice and clear when we weren't coming and going, and also my makeshift diffused LED lighting rig which illuminated the box but didn't glare. So I'm hoping that was a bit better for you and you enjoyed that one. It is hump day, middle of the week. We have got Chunks A3 coming in today. He is having a dash cam. He's got his own dash cam. I've got to hardwire it so I hide the cable for him. He's having under seat and under dash lighting, so the floor lights up different colours. And I've got to put an extra sort of festoon bulb holder in the boot, so he's got more boot light on the driver's side because Audi's come standard with one on the left. So he wants a bit more boot light, so we'll do that. But other than that, it's going to be a fairly chill day, I'm hoping. Not too stressful, not too busy. We do need breakfast. What did we have yesterday? I think I had a bacon sandwich yesterday. I have to do a croissant today. Variety is the spice of life, as they say.
Yeah, baby!
I've ordered some bits for the Cube. A K&N panel filter to help it breathe a bit easier, and I've ordered a thing called a chip box. Now it's like a bit of plug and play mapping, if you will. I've read into it and I've done some research, and as shit as it sounds, actually I've found a few people that are using it and they've actually said it does work. So this thing is, first gear is great, you plant your foot and it takes off. When you change into second, it's like it hits a brick wall. It's a proper bad flat spot, and unless you're absolutely caning the living Jesus out of it, it doesn't pull, it doesn't go anywhere. It's only a 1.5, but I wanted just to kind of remove the flat spot if I could and give it a little bit more mid, you know, just to kind of take off and go. But other than that, I love driving it. I don't want it stupidly quick. I just want it, you know, fun, full acceleration. So yeah, this tuning box, what it basically does is it sits in line like a T harness or a Y harness, if you will, with the air mass sensor, the air intake. And it fools the car ECU into thinking that the temperatures are colder at certain RPM than they really are. And what that basically does is it adds more, allows for a sort of better mixture, more fuel, more speed, more power. And obviously the lambda sensors, because the cat is clever enough to understand what's going on, it adjusts itself accordingly. So you end up with a bit more poke. Now my first thought was, right, well, surely the fuel consumption is going to go through the roof. But apparently on the bikes that I've spoke to, the guys that have got this on their you know, their kind of low horsepower bikes, mainly the Enfield lot, have said no, it actually trims out the fuel. It's actually better than a sluggish, slower bike that just uses fuel but doesn't go anywhere. So we shall see. It's a 77 quid part and it takes like 5 minutes to install. I got to undo a clip, plug in a clip, mount the box somewhere so it's safe, and then change the panel filter so I get more oxygen, more breathing into the engine, and see how it goes. I'm sort of skeptical. I'm a see it and believe it kind of guy. Obviously, being an engineer, everything I see and everything I read, I want to see it from my own eyes before I believe it. As they say, just because you see it on the internet doesn't mean it's true, and that's definitely true. All these gullible people that believe all this crap online. So yeah, so I want to see from my own eyes what it does, if anything. Obviously I've got the option to return it if it's no good, but I want to have a little play with it and see what it does. Obviously it will be changing the resistance values of the temperature to fool it into thinking it's colder than it actually is, and that will change through the rev range. So we're going to play around with that. It's due to come in on Friday. I've got to get the girls today from school, so that's daddy jobs today, picking up little ones, getting the jobs done, and then I'm hoping the parts people will phone me about the filter today so I can go and get that. But we'll do some scientific tests and see if it really does work. In theory it should, but we'll you know, we'll touch base on it when I've got the parts, and we'll do a vid and play. So I'll see you in a bit. I'm going to get some breakfast. Have a good day, everyone. Happy Wednesday.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Morning everyone. So we got our Audi in, first job. So we've got dash cam that we've got to sort out that lead, stop it looking like a washing line, so we'll hardwire the dash cam out of the way. We've got to fit interior lighting under the seats and under the dash, so there'll be a remote control and turn on, and you'll be able to light up the floor of the car whatever colour he wants to. And then in the back we've got one light there, and I basically need to copy the same over here. So a little bit of cutting, we've got the bulb, the holder, and some cable, so we'll run a feed across and up to that one there. So that's today's task. I will come back to you in a mo when I've cracked on. We've made some headway with this one.
Meanwhile.
Oh, right everyone, got full on sweat on. It's warmed up again, it's like 20 odd degrees, it's bloody horrible. It's muggy as hell. So, one light, two lights. So obviously we piggyback that one off of this one, and I've just basically fitted the cabling up and round. So that's the boot done. Then in the car, we've got our under seat neons and our under dash lights, and these are all on a controller. So if I grab the remote, I get in the car here, so we can have things like green, blue, white, orange, yellow, teal, purple. We can do a whole host of sound options from noise, or we can do fading in and out. That's cool. There we go. And I've hardwired the dash cam. So that's this one ready to be picked up, and it's all on a fail-safe on the ignition. So if he forgets to turn it off, as soon as you kill the car, obviously it all goes anyway. Nice. We're going to get this one out. What time are we at? 20 to 12. Oh, that's not bad. I've made good time on that. Not too bad at all. But no doubt he'll like that. Right, I'll come back to you in a bit after lunch. See you soon, people. Everyone, we're going to do a little bit of tutorial on how to gap rings. These are piston rings. We have one of my old pistons here. These are the forged ones, and I've taken off 3 of the rings. So we have the sensor ring, if I can get it off, the top ring, and then we have the oil kind of waffle, and then the 2 rings that cover the oil waffle. So these are the oil control rings. That's mid, that's top. What we basically do, so I already have my measurements of my piston rings and how I have them set.
So we basically get the top ring, because I'm going to make them all the same. Got to make sure that you don't scratch or damage the ring and the liner, and this is basically, we are setting the gap. So we get our top ring, okay, we're going to put it with the tooth towards me, the hole. We're going to gently push it together, put it inside the top of our liner, and then we're going to use, I've created this tool, it's a nylon bush, but basically it fits it exactly inside the liner, and then we push it down roughly about just under an inch. Just get this level on the top, and then from there we can then set our top gap. So this one will be 0.08. So what we do is we find our 0.08, 28, 32, let's keep going, 0.0, sorry, 0.018, what am I talking about? So there we go. So there's our gap. You see that? 0.18. Okay. Now what we're basically looking for is, we've used this tool to set our piston ring down inside the liner so it's not near the top, because the piston ring is not going to come up this far. It's going to be in this midsection here as it's traveling up and down. So we're taking a measurement of about here where our ring is sat, and what we basically want is this feeler gauge to go in the gap, not exactly get stuck, but we want a little bit of resistance, and that basically will tell me that my ring is gapped correctly. So we'll just try that. So that goes in there, gives me a tiny little bit of feel, but it doesn't feel like it's, you know, stuck. It just gives me that enough feeling that I'm kind of in there. A little pinch. You're really starting to annoy me, mates. So that goes in. It gives us a little bit of a grab on the tool, but we've got, you know, just enough in there that that is where I want that one to be. So we know that our top ring, which will be this one here on our new set, we need to get down to that 0.018. So we'll pull out gently our ring that's already gapped. This is the one from obviously our engine or piston that's already been in the engine. We take our new ring, we'll put it in, gently pushing the teeth together so I can squeeze them in gently without scratching the ring or the ball. Use my little tool to push it down so it's level, so we get an equal gap. And you may ask, why are you doing this, Al? Well, this is kind of like, you set your compression, you set the amount of oil that's going to blow by the piston rings, and in doing this, see, there's our piston ring inside, and then we've got that tiny little gap there. So I have this tool here, I'll show you this in a minute. I take my 0.18 feeler gauge, and I can't get in that gap because it's too tight. So what we then do is, with my little tool here, I'm hoping you don't fall over, we take our piston ring back out nice and carefully. Now what I've basically got to do is, this is a grinding wheel, so we get our piston ring, we put it in this location here, and then push that together. Cheers dude, thank you. Keeping this as level as possible. You see that there? Keeping that as level as possible. We use these two pins to push the piston ring in, and then we basically gently grind away. Equal amounts of ring. Do this gently. We don't like to suddenly dive into, oh shit, I've gone too far. We're going to take our time doing this, and we want this nice and steady. So we do a little bit, we set our gap in our liner, all nice and equal. Take our little tool out, we get our feeler gauge, and then we go for the gap again. Still can't get it in, it's still too tight. So we'll take him out, put him onto our machine, and then gently push, sand again. Every time you have a little go, make sure you feel the edges, make sure there's no rough bits that are going to scratch the liner when we put this in. And then again, back in. Use our tool to set our drop. Make sure that's level. Take that out. We use a tool like this because it's going to set an equal length drop. Obviously, if the piston ring was sideways, that gap is going to give us a false reading. So it has to be completely level. Yeah, it's biting. We're sort of getting in there now. So we'll go again. You think for every single piston there's 4 of these rings, and I had to do this for the whole entire V8. Takes a long time. Make sure there's no rough bits on the corners that are going to scratch our liner. Again, back in we go. Use our tool to set our drop. Make sure he's level. Pull the tool out. We get our feeler gauge. Go for the gap. Yeah, we're kind of getting there. It's just a case of taking your time. We don't want to go too far, too past it. Yes, there are electronic ones, but call me old-fashioned. I like the hand method. Sometimes you don't get any control with automatic stuff. Hands are way better. Feeler gauge back in. Yeah, we're getting there. Slowly feel that pinch being taken up. We've just got to keep this going level. Edges, make sure they're not trapping. Complete. Back in again. Feeler gauge. Yeah, we're getting there. About. Obviously we're doing downwards so that the piston is supported by this flat keyed face. Obviously if you did it upwards, the piston ring would be jumping and it wouldn't be good for getting equal cuts and sanding on measurement. It'd be all over the place. So use your common sense with it a bit. Get our feeler gauge. Almost there. Almost there. Right now everyone in the chat that went, why have you got all those tools for? You ain't the mechanic. No, I'm not. I bet you some of you mechanics don't know how to do this. Set our depth, grab our feeler gauge. Now you can see we've got a nice equal tooth. Can you see that? Hopefully the camera's picking that up, that little gap just at the bottom there. So we've got a nice little spread now. And what I'm looking for is my feeler gauge to go all the way to the back without too much interference. Gently grabbing my, yeah, that's fine, that's perfect. Now, next step. Then very gently, we just need to take off these little feel around, see if you've got any rough edges. Don't rush it. Just gently deburr the edges of the piston ring. Make sure we're getting off all the excess little bits of metal. All four sides. And we've got nothing sticking out that's going to score or trap. And have a feel of it again. All around the edges, make sure you've got no sharp bits. Perfect. Right, now that is our top piston ring ready to go. And we need to do the same for number 2. Now number 2 said we've got it set to 0.121. Sorry, 0.021. So this is our intermediate ring. So I'm going to get my intermediate ring for my engine that's already been ran. We're going to just clean it, make sure it's nice and clean. We're going to do the same. We're going to put him in our test liner. We're going to run our tool down so we're at the right depth, like there. Pull that out, then grab my feeler gauge and find my 0.021. Right, where are we at? 0.021, which would be that one there, 0.021. And then we should, again, going for our little gap in the middle of the liner there, at our set depth, we should get our feeler gauge in there, which we do. Nice gap. Lovely. So we got our intermediate ring, this one. Take out the one that's already run, put that to one side so we don't mix anything up. We get our new ring, pinching it together, putting it in our tool. Set the height. Grab our feeler gauge. Probably just a little nick off of that one. It's not far off. Not far off. So we'll go again. Sand this one down. Gently equal pressure. Again, nice and slowly, we sneak up on this one. I'm going to blow into a massive gap. Yep, that one's good. Right, now again, we've got probably some rough edges, so we'll take our little file, nice and steady. Don't need to go all different directions, and you're just knocking the burr off of it. all 4 sides. Have a little feel of it. Make sure there's no rough edges. Lovely. So there's our middle ring. Now, we don't do the waffle ring, that stays as is. Okay, the oil control ring. We don't mess with this kind of perforated thing, that stays as is. But we do these two. So these need to be set at 0.015. So we'll go back to our feeler gauge. Here we will dig out the 0.015, which is 18, 21, 17, 16, 15. There we go. So 0.015. We're going to get our first oil control ring. Actually, now let's test the spare. This is the one that's running, so let's get this in first. Make sure our our measurement is correct. So again, control ring. Gently pinch it together. In it goes. This is a lot softer than the other two because this is just controlling oil. This is not holding compression. So this one's a bit more fragile. So gently, 115. Beautiful. God, listen to me, I sound like Gordon Ramsay. So we know that ring is good. So we get our new one, put him in our liner, push him down to the correct height, lift the tool out, get our feeler gauge, go for our gap. Yeah, to be fair, that's bob on. Get this one, check this one out, put them in, go down, set height, lift it, feeler gauge. Yeah, that's good. So that's how we gap rings for our piston. Now, the only other thing we need to do is put the gudgeon pins on onto our side of our piston. Now, if you don't know what a gudgeon pin is, it is that little fellow, that black ring inside that hole that keeps that gudgeon pin, the collet pin, the gudgeon pin in situ. All right, it's like the I-beam rod's stability. That's its like top hat. Now, when you do these little pins, they have to be forced in to the side of the piston. Okay, here's our piston. Now at the minute I can push out the gudgeon pin and I can take apart the whole assembly and have the con rod out from the kind of bearing, if you will. Now when I do this, I need to put force in this little hole here to get that little pin. So this pin is going to be forced in that little tooth and then round inside there. So it basically means that when that rod is in situ, this cannot push past it. So when this is coming out, it will hit the pin just there and it won't allow the rod to come out any further, so it won't disappear out and start eating the side of the block. But when I do these, here's a little tip. Get yourself some plastic sheeting. Right, get yourself some plastic sheeting and make yourself a little cover, and when you do your gudgeon pin, sit underneath it with a torch, because I guarantee you this thing, no matter how clever you think you are, it'll fire off. And I've done it once and I went looking for my gudgeon pin somewhere over there. I heard it land, I didn't know where, I had to go and find it. Luckily I did. But if you do it with a plastic sheet on top of you, when it fires up in the air, it hits the plastic and comes back down, and you limit how far you're going to be on your hands and knees looking for these little bad boys. Right, there's a lesson over. See you in a bit. Right then everyone, that's the end of Wednesday. We had the Nissan Nissan, not the X-Trail, the Navara, no, the Qashqai, that was what it was. The Qashqai back in to change the fascia, the one that was missing from the other week. Barry's now got that all done and sorted, so he's now happy. We finished the Audi, the A3, that's gone. Chunk's picked that up. I can't wait for it to go dark later on so we can have a little play in them in the darkness. And we're obviously setting up our CP Carrillo pistons, getting ready for our build. But we're there for now. I'm going to get the girls home. They're upstairs playing on their computers at the minute, having a whale of a time, of course. Had a stock delivery, found some more head units. Ugh. What are you doing, girls? You ready? You getting your shoes on? Get ready. You're not going anywhere, why not? Staying in Dad's workshop. Right, that's it for today. I will see you all tomorrow. What we got on tomorrow? We've got John to fit his own Sony stereo. We've got a Nissan Navara, that's coming in for steering controls and a rear camera, and we've got to fit his own Kenwood. And Alexandra McKnight coming in for her BMW X1, parking sensor lead, CarPlay retention, Android Auto. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow. Drop a pen. So see you bright and early for our little chat as always. Until then, see you later. Say bye. See you in a bit.
You told me you had subscribed to ASC Audio and now you've missed an episode. No!